welcome to our Airbnb. I'm taking advantage of the fact that we had someone check out this morning and people are arriving in a couple hours and we just finished cleaning. I wanted to give you an update on how everything has been going. So in this video, I'm going to talk about our revenues from April and March and also give you a little update on the different expenses that we've had over the course of the past couple months as well, and take a look at how things are looking for the next few months as we come into the high season in the summer for us. And at the end, I wanted to mention something about taxes as well. We just had our annual appointment with our accountant. So I have all of our annual LMNP, location meublée non professionnelle, revenue figures for the year 2024. And I know now how much our tax bill is going to be as well. So I will fill you in on that info at the end of the video. I'm Susie, I'm American, and I've lived here in Dijon, France for the past 17 years. We're sitting here in our short-term rental unit, which used to be our garage, and we converted it about 4 years ago into a short-term rental unit. So my husband and I have been operating it as hosts ourselves. We do absolutely everything, all of the cleaning, all of the interactions with guests and everything. We do it all ourselves. And it's really been a great experience. If you're interested in learning more, you can check out some of the other videos in my series about this topic. And before we get started, I wanted to mention that there's a link in the video description below to my email list, which you can sign up for if you would like to receive practical information about life in France directly to your inbox. So to start with our Airbnb revenues from March 2025, we earned 1,015 euros via Airbnb. And for April 2025, we earned 1,978 euros. So a big jump between March and April, which is great. I don't necessarily think these have been record-setting months for us, but the winter was quite slow. And so it's nice to have some revenue coming in from the Airbnb again. Okay, so I wanted to talk about some of the issues that we've had over the past couple months, nothing serious. We did have a problem with our door handle, which caused some stress. I had come into the Airbnb to clean. We just had someone check out, and then a couple hours later, we had someone checking in. And I came in to clean, and as I was closing the Airbnb door, as I was leaving after having cleaned, I realized that I couldn't get the door handle to lock shut. Because we have just the handle that you pull like this, and then we have an electronic lock that you turn to lock the door. And so the door inside, I could close the handle and I could lock it, but from the outside, I couldn't get the lock to turn. And I was really panicked. So we called the people who had installed the sliding door originally, and they were able to come the next day. And first they just sort of took a look and tried to figure out what was wrong. And then they realized that they were going to need to replace the handle. And they told us, well, if you really want a black handle to replace it, we're going to have to order it, but we probably have a white one in stock. And so I said, I don't care, just fix it as quickly as you possibly can. Oh, and in the meantime, the guests had arrived. And so I had to explain to them that the door didn't lock properly, and that I was really sorry. And I suggested that if they had any valuables, that they could leave them with us in the house if they went out for the day, for example. The door locked inside, so when they were in the apartment, they were safe and with all of their valuables and everything. But if they went out for the day, for example, then the door had to be left open because it just wouldn't lock properly. Granted, here in our sort of private space, you can't access our property without a code or a badge. So it's relatively safe back here anyway, but I could just imagine people worried about their valuables being left here. Luckily, the guests were really understanding and they were like, don't worry, it's not a big deal. We understand. We don't really have anything valuable anyway. And so it did get us thinking that maybe we should have a safe here, which is something that we've never bothered investing in. But if we had had a safe, then they could have just, put their valuables inside the safe and it probably would have been okay. But in any case, it was fine. So after telling me that they probably would have to install a white handle, so the repair guys left and they went back to their headquarters, I don't know what you call it. And they came back an hour later or so and they had a black handle. They had one. So they didn't have to make any special orders and they were able to change it out really quickly. So it was the following day after the lock had broken. So our poor guests just spent one night with, well, they didn't even spend one night because when they were sleeping in the apartment, the handle closed properly. So the poor guests just had, I think that very first day that they were here, when they went out for a walk, for example, or to explore the city, they left the apartment open. Granted, I think I was here. So I even told them, like, don't worry, I'll be around and I'll be watching to make sure that, no one breaks into the space and steals your stuff. But they did not seem concerned whatsoever. So all's well that ends well, but in the end, we wound up having to pay 125 euros for the service and for the handle to be replaced, which seemed acceptable to me. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be about twice that. So in the end, it was fine. And of course, those charges, any type of expenses that we have like that, are déductibles. So we can deduct them from our income that we declare at the end of 2025. So it's okay. And then we have our new sunshade. I had mentioned in a previous video that we had like a freak snowstorm in November that destroyed our last sunshade. So we thought that we would order another one of those camo style sunshades, but in the end we settled on ordering this new type of sunshade, which was tricky to install for my husband, but he figured it out. So the sunshade itself cost 55 euros. Plus there was some hardware, some clips and ropes and things that he had to buy as well. But in the end, the result is great. And I think that the space is going to be really pleasant for the guests that come over the course of the next few months. And the way he installed it will make it easier for us to take it down in the winter so we can avoid any snow mishaps, hopefully, going forward. So I leave a little personalized postcard for guests when they arrive. I write a little personalized note on the back, and it's just a sort of little, I don't know, keepsake for them, I guess. But also the idea for us was to sort of, I don't know, develop our own sort of perhaps more direct bookings going forward. So we always leave a little postcard for our guests, and I just ordered a new batch of postcards from Canva, and I saw that I hadn't ordered any for the past 2 years. So that means that we go through about 100 of these postcards every 2 years or so. I think it was 41 euros for 100 postcards. So that was another little expense that we had. Okay, so looking forward, I'm going to go into the listing as if I were a guest looking at the listing from my telephone. So this is what it looks like, I guess, for guests. You can confirm. I think this is what it looks like. And I just wanted to show you the calendar over the course of the next few months. So you can check availability, and then you can take a look and you can see how we're doing in terms of bookings. For May, things are looking pretty good. We're more or less full. We still have some availability. In fact, 2 days this coming up week, and then 4 days or so. We just had a cancellation at the end of May, so hopefully that will get booked up. And then going into June, we have several reservations on the books as well, which is looking good. July also, same thing. So that's people are starting, I think, to plan for their vacations, for their summer vacations. So we're getting reservations occasionally, which is great. And even into August, we also have a few reservations on the book, including one reservation that's a long reservation, which is great. We love those. And then even in September, I guess we just have one or maybe two reservations. Things are looking pretty good for the upcoming months, and we are excited to see how it goes for this high season. And then I did want to mention taxes, because people have asked me in the past how much we pay in taxes on our Airbnb revenue. I have tried to explain in the past, but the way that we declare our income for our Airbnb revenue is as LMNP revenue, which is location meublée non professionnelle. So furnished rental as non-professional. So we have several properties in our LMNP portfolio, and they're bundled together as a single unit for tax purposes. So this tax unit contains two properties, our short-term rental and another furnished studio that's in a student residence that is completely hands-off, that we don't run ourselves, that we pay to have run by a company. We pay taxes on our LMNP income after deducting all expenses. It's a tax system called régime réel. We report our actual rental income and deduct our actual expenses, rather than using simple flat rate deductions. So we can deduct mortgage interest, maintenance, insurance, property taxes, and critically depreciation, or amortissement in French, of both the properties and furnishings. With these deductions, in large part thanks to the depreciation charges, we significantly reduce our taxable rental income. For 2024, after all deductions, our taxable rental income from our LMNP properties was about 6,600 euros. This amount was then added to our other earnings and taxed at our progressive income tax rate, TMI in French, taux marginal d'imposition, and in 2024 ours was 11%, plus social charges, charge sociale in French, a sort of tax that goes to fund things like healthcare and more, at 17.2%. So
the total tax rate for our net LMNP revenue was 28.2%. So we paid about 1,800 euros in taxes on this revenue, 28.2% of about 6,600 euros. We are thankful for our second LMNP property, a new construction studio apartment in a student residence, because it creates a significant amount of charge or deductions to offset, in a sense, the relatively significant revenue that our short-term rental brings in. The government requires us to maintain formal accounting records for our business, and it's very complex. And so that's why we use an accountant to help us with all of this every year. I would definitely recommend getting an accountant to help you with this type of record keeping if you decide to go into this type of business yourself as well. But there's just been a big change that's going to have significant tax implications for us when we go to sell these properties, I think. In February 2025, the government changed how capital gains, plus-value in French, of LMNP properties will be calculated when sold. They basically changed the rules while we were playing the game. Before, when selling, the purchase price used to calculate capital gains wasn't affected by prior depreciation deductions. And now the purchase price will be reduced by all depreciation we've claimed over the years, resulting in a higher taxable capital gain and therefore higher taxes when we sell. This effectively eliminates the tax advantage where we could reduce current income taxes through depreciation without consequences when selling. Not good. And I think it's going to be particularly complicated when we sell our primary residence one day, because our short-term rental property is an annex. It's part of our primary residence. So it's going to be a really complicated calculation for the notaire, for the real estate lawyer, I suppose, the day that we finally decide to sell our primary residence.
So that's it for the update for March and April 2025. And thank you so much for watching. If you are someone who is interested in becoming an Airbnb host yourself in the future, I'm going to link below to my Airbnb sponsorship code. And if you use this code when you're setting up your listing, both you and I receive a little bonus after you complete your first qualifying stay. And in exchange, I'd be happy to meet with you online and to give you some feedback about your listing and answer any questions that you may have about becoming an Airbnb host. And I will include the link to the listing below. And if you are interested in just coming to Dijon for a visit, you can stay here with us. We would love to have you. So thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, à bientôt.